I have given you top 10 most beautiful spiders. You've witnessed top 10 most beautiful scorpions. You've heard my opinion on top 10 wonderful millipedes. You've met some lovely isopods. And even some fancy roaches. Now, it's time to meet some smaller, less flashy critters. Meet the underappreciated springtails. These little fellas are the most common springtails in culturing and pet trade, very often used as cleanup crew for bigger critters, like scorpions, spiders, isopods, or millipedes. These tiny beauties eat pretty much everything moldy, dead, decaying or left over by other animals in their enclosure, but for the best growth and development, they'd need a source of charcoal and clay, if available. They multiply readily, and as they are hermaphroditic, even just a few specimens can produce a growing colony if provided with proper conditions and food source. These small springtails measure only about 4 millimeters long and sport incredible bee-like black and yellow striped pattern. Often found among isopods and pillbugs, eating on the same forest litter as they do. Small, commonly found all around Europe and often overlooked. If inspected closely, one can see beautiful purple tint to their antennae, as well as the sides of their bee-striped bodies. These beautiful little fellas are approximately the size of your standard whites, except they show off unique, wildly yellow coloration. This species consists of numerous different specimens and each of them is different. This particular one is a fierce yellow color and is pretty hard to find in pet trade. They behave just like your standard springtails, they breed with similar success to their more well-known cousins, and they need similar living conditions, but are in comparison much rarer to find in market and much more expensive. These little beauties are pretty large for springtails, around double the size of regular whites. Due to their restricted amount in the trade, as well as strict feeding habits of only eating slime mold, many orange springtails in trade are falsely labeled as these ones. Most of commonly sold as this species are either Neonura growi or Euchaeonura apharuroides, which are both more commonly available, as well as easier to raise and feed, but look very similar. These are the most widespread and most well-known springtails in pet trade, often used interchangeably to the more common white springtails as cleanup crew. They live less than a year, but multiply readily to compensate their short lifespan, and they eat all manner of fruit, vegetable, plant or decaying matter. All while being around 3 to 4 times larger than common white springtails and having much more visually appealing fiery orange color. These are one of the biggest and most fancy-looking springtails that you can own. Around 8 millimeters in length, they easily dwarf many of the cleaning crew bugs on this list. Easy to keep, but hard to breed, they live well in room temperatures, but to breed, they'd need a temperature drop as low as from 2 to 8 degrees Celsius. Contrary to what you may expect by their breeding requirements, they are of medium expensiveness here in Poland and do not cost a fortune to buy a thriving colony. These springtails are not large, only around 4 millimeters in length, but what they lack in size, they compensate with the beautiful, opalescent exoskeleton. They are pretty unique among springtails, as most of them need maintained moisture to thrive, while this species can live and procreate in both moist and semi-arid conditions. They aren't picky eaters and would generally eat whatever other springtails eat, like fruits, vegetables, leaves, rice and mold. Their only downside I can think of is their price, as at least in my country, these are pretty expensive. These tiny, speed-running balls on legs are a species of springtail unlike any other of this list, 'cause coming from a way different family than others. It's a type of a globular springtail that instead of flat, worm-like body, has distinct spider-like shape. It lives, feeds, and breeds in moist parks and forests and are known for being good climbers and great jumpers. This skill is crucial for living in open habitats, as their small size, just about 2 millimeters in length, makes them susceptible to being crushed and hunted by small predators, like robins, otherwise. Yes, these soft, spiked, colorful beauties are indeed springtails, and not just any. Easily one of the biggest in the world, these Australian bugs can measure up to 1.7 centimeters long. With most springtails measuring only a few millimeters, these are giants. Their intricate appearance makes people call them various fancy names, like giant dragon springtails. Usually found under rotting wood and feeding on a forest litter, these beautiful, large and colorful bugs are often as bypassed and underappreciated, as they're awe-inspiring when seen. Easily the prettiest on this list, but sadly very rare to find in captivity and very underrated springtail is not the biggest one, but the shiny colors clearly make up for it. This British species only measures around 1.5 mm of total body length, being even smaller on average than your standard common white. This small, European springtail is almost uniformly terrestrial and isn't observed climbing often, though as most springtails, they too are able to do so. Their diet presumably consists of your standard springtail stuff, like mold, ground litter, leftover fruits and vegetables, and so on.